Beyond Reach podcast gives the voice to brands, athletes, organizations in the outdoor space industry. Through open conversation, you're going to discover their stories, their successes and challenges, but also their vision. Welcome to the podcast. Hi and welcome, Anthony, into this new episode, which is going to be a very interesting episode because we're going to talk about famous sports here in Canada. But first thing first, let's start with a little game and let's answer a few questions. My first question is, are you more tea or coffee?
Oh, definitely coffee. Espresso, to be specific.
Espressos. And do you like having like this little milk on the top? Or just
Sometimes if I'm feeling fancy, but most of the time just black. Grab one, take it in and get going. So that's how I drink it.
And so now in terms of like food, are you more like salty, sweet food?
Ooh, depends. Sweet for sure. I like my favorite dessert is tiramisu or anything chocolate.
Nice. Do you know how to make tiramisu?
Absolutely not, but I definitely know how to eat it.
You need to learn. Okay, and now a bit of like the season. Do you prefer winter, summer?
Ooh, I prefer summer. Very unpopular for my business, but that's okay. I prefer summer. I love the heat, and I love vacationing. I like going to the cottage and being by the lake, all that stuff.
Nice. And if you have to choose between curling or hockey, which one would you pick?
Oh, that's an easy one. Definitely hockey, but curling is fun. It's very challenging, very challenging. But if I'm gonna be on the ice, it's gonna be with hockey skates.
Nice. Well, now I'm just going to ask you to introduce yourself so we know exactly what you do.
Yes, my name is Anthony Morra, and I am the CEO of Bladetech Hockey. And you want me to get into what Bladetech does and everything? Yeah.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Yeah, Bladetech, we invented a flexible skate blade. So it was a first of its kind, and we scientifically proved that it made players faster on average, about 5.5% faster. So obviously at the top level, this is a huge, huge benefit. It cushions the knees as well. So it stores energy and then releases it to players. But cushioning the knees also for the longevity of a player to reduce injuries, reduce muscle fatigue, all that stuff, and use their energy more efficiently. So it does all of these things with just a little flexing motion inside the blade.
Nice. So yeah, okay, let's go deeper maybe like in your personal relationship with hockey. What role did hockey play in your life?
Yes, I had a very particular relationship with hockey. I grew up playing really high level soccer. That was my thing. So hockey was really my off season sport.
Okay.
But so I wasn't as good at hockey as I was at soccer. I'm not that big, so I was built more for soccer and for speed and endurance as opposed to the physicality that hockey required. So as I got older and hitting became more and more, it was tougher to be better. Anyway, but I really enjoyed it. In fact, playing throughout high school and university, I did play with some guys who ended up playing pro, but playing in university, all of my closest friends from university are not from school classes. They're not even from soccer teams that I was on. They're actually from hockey. Mm-hmm. So I have some of my deep personal relationships to this day, 15 plus years later, that I still, all these guys have kids now and things like that. So, but we golf, a couple times a year and get together and still can call. I actually called a guy this morning and I hadn't talked to him in months and said, "Hey, what's going on?" He goes, "Yeah, we got to get together." So that's, for me, there's a special bond between hockey players, and I've played a lot of different sports, and it's different. It's different, and it's personal, it's deep, and you see the guys, the guys that win the Stanley Cup and stuff. These people are friends for life, even if they only played that season together.
Yeah.
So there's a deep bond there, which I really enjoy, and that's kind of what draws me to the game.
Nice. And so if I'm correct, so you're the CEO, but you're not the founder, right?
Yes. So the founder story is my partner, Jeff. He was a mechanical engineer at the University of Waterloo here in Ontario. So the fourth year capstone project, they get such a general instruction, and it is go look in the world and design something to make something better. That's it. That's as general as the direction is. So as a hockey player, he looked at hockey skates. So hockey skates, for example, if you take one brand, there's $100 skate and there's $1,000 skate. And every $100 you go up, you get a better skate. So there's 10 levels of skates.
Yeah.
And he looked closely and he said, okay, you get a better boot. The boot part of the skate was better, but the
Mhm.
holder, the white plastic holder, and the stainless steel uh, blade inside was the same.
Okay.
So he's like, can we look at this relationship between the holder and the steel to actually add some performance benefit? Because also all the development of the skate was to make it with better material, lighter material,
Mhm.
better to construct, more durable,
Yeah.
better to protect your foot. The boot's really designed for comfort and to protect your foot from being broken. That's
Yeah.
what its purpose is. But there aren't really any performance enhancements done other than making the boot a little bit lighter. So the first Bladetech was actually a spring-loaded holder. He looked at things like the clap skate from speed skate, from trampoline, diving boards, tennis, golf. All these things have this little compression and release aspect to them. So
Mhm.
he put that into the hockey skate, and the only way it made sense was to put it at the front part of the skate. When you're accelerating forward or backwards, you push with the balls of your feet,
Mhm.
and that's where it made sense to have some motion. So it basically takes your vertical force, it stores it, and then it transfers it to the horizontal plane, which helps you move either forward or backwards, whichever direction you're skating. So that was the first Bladetech, was a spring-loaded holder. In fact, it wasn't the flexible blade that you see now.
Okay. And so, how did you meet?
So we met. So he had graduated. He had this prototype. His mentor there, his professor, was like, "This is you're onto something here. This isn't just a school project.
Yeah.
Keep going with it. Keep developing it." So Jeff was going around to different trade shows and things like that, and I met him at University of Toronto has a sports and business conference. So they invite people from Sportsnet, TSN, the Raptors, the Leafs, all the executives and stuff. They come and do panels, things like that.
Yeah.
And Jeff happened to be at the end of the day, it's a full day, full 7 hours. And at the end of the day, I walk out of the main room and Jeff's there in the foyer with this setup, with this prototype. There's all these students around. I was a little older. There's all these students around, like looking for internships and stuff. And
Mhm.
I'm like, this guy's fresh out of school. I'm like, he doesn't have money or jobs for you. But so he was talking. I listened to him do his spiel. I actually went around the table. I grabbed this business card that he had on the table
Yeah.
and I listened to him and I left. I didn't even talk to him. And I emailed him the next day and said, "Hey, I saw you here. I think this is an amazing idea.
Yeah.
And here's my background, and I have a business background. I have 2 business degrees, but I have a whole lifetime. My dad always had his own small businesses.
Yeah.
And so I knew from his practice and from my business training, like I'm basically like, I can help you build this business." And he emailed me back, and that we went from there. And that was we met in March 2014, so that was over 10 years ago.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so, how do you maintain that innovation? Like you had multiple prototypes, but how
Hmm.
do you keep that innovation? Like, because hockey is a very competitive um, industry.
Yeah.
So, do you have competitors, and how do you work on
Mm.
innovation?
So yeah, I'll answer the second first. It is very competitive. It's almost like an oligopoly. There's only like a couple of major players and they
Yeah.
try to control everything. The barriers to entry are high. It's really expensive to do research. It's really expensive to manufacture all sorts
Mhm.
of hockey equipment.
Mhm.
So you have to, if you're going to break into the market and if you're going to cut out your piece of the market, you
Mhm.
have to do something really unique, different. But the main thing, and this is kind of the answer to your other question, is something that adds value. And I think what we've seen a lot in the industry is feigned innovation. Basically, like, hey, we're coming out with a new stick every year. Like, there's not real innovation every year. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Real true innovation or true development doesn't happen in every season. It happens in leaps and bounds, right? So 5 years there might be nothing really, and then somebody will come up with something. It's exactly what Jeff did. I mean, skates really developed over 20 years, but nothing worked the way this was invented until it was. And that was again about 10 years ago. So that's when we do any products, when we make anything,
Yeah.
um, we really focus on adding value to the customer. So it's either the way we design products or the way we sell products. And I can give you an example. So the blade, we did our own scientific testing. When we reiterated it to the flexible blade, we sent it to a third party and did the same testing and they did it, and the results were exactly the same. So we're like, okay, we have multiple scientific tests that proves the same thing. So we know we're adding value in the way it performs. So having said that, we've charged the highest price. We're using the best steel because we want to add all the value across the board. So, I mean, we're higher than, we're $10 or $20 higher than the next competitor. So it's not outrageous, but you're getting huge value. We warranty it for an entire year. So that adds huge value as well. If you're only buying one set, you're going to be good for the season.
Yeah.
So that's important. Again, the way we sell it. Then we launched, this might be getting ahead of ourselves, but last October, we launched Blackout Hockey Sticks. Blackout Hockey Sticks is not something we invented. There's no new technology there. Sticks are really good. Like the way they're made with the 100% carbon fiber, the way they're manufactured and stuff. If you have a good manufacturer, if you use good quality carbon fiber, sticks are really good. There's not much more you can do with a stick. However, all the big companies were rewrapping the stick and charging $30 more every single season for no value add. They just charge more. It's the same stick at the core. So what our value add is, I'm going to go to the same factories that they make it. I'm going to make the same stick. I'm not going to wrap it. We put our little logo on there just to know that it's our stick, but I'm going to charge it at a price that it should be charged at. So for the same price that you're buying one of those sticks, you can buy two of ours. So again, a huge value add. I'm not saying don't spend $350, but for $350, you're going to get two sticks. So that's way more valuable for, how many sticks you go through for a season, especially high level players, AAA kids, that $300 or $400 a stick, even if parents have money, which a lot of them do. $300 for a stick that they break in a couple months is painful. Really. So
for sure. And so when did Bladetech really took off? Because he had this idea, then you met. How much time did it take until it was okay, it's a legit business, now we are making money? And
yes, there was a very specific point for that, which is really surprising. So this was our side business for about 4 or 5 years. Jeff had a great engineering company or engineering career at one of the big oil and gas companies. I was working at the University of Toronto for almost 10 years doing administrative projects and things like that. So we were both doing, well in our careers, but this was our passion project. This is what we spent our extra time doing. And it actually took off in the middle of the pandemic, which is very counterintuitive, right? Because hockey was shut down, especially in this country, right? We were like 100% shut down almost. And so it happened. So I was actually working for a tech company at the time. I had decided to quit the tech company 2 weeks before the world shut down in March of 2020. So the timing was good. So I wasn't doing anything. And then I was like, collecting a little bit of government money. That was a fun part. And so I just started working on Bladetech more because I literally didn't have anything else to do. And I was doing that anyway. So I did it more. And July of that year, we had our best month ever in sales. And that trend continued for 14 months in a row. Where just because we had built our business completely online. So what happened is when stores closed, Canada was almost zero, by the way. All those record sales and stuff, zero in Canada. We did nothing. But States was different. A lot of them didn't close down, or they all had different rules. So you could drive across a state line and play, even if your state was shut down. But a lot of the stores couldn't get supplies and stuff. So a lot of stores didn't shut down or couldn't do services or things like that. So everyone was forced to look online. We were there. We were already set up. So people just started buying, and then they started buying multiple sets. And then they're like, can you sharpen and profile our blades so they come ready to go? We didn't have any of these machines. So we're like, okay, let's look, we went on Facebook Marketplace, and we found a big profiling machine. These things are usually, $15,000 to $20,000 brand new. I think we got it for less than 10 secondhand. Go through, make sure we're just an engineer, right? So hey, fix it. So we did that. Anyway, it paid for itself in the first month. So we bought another one. And so it just kept going. So now we have a shop, like we've got 3 or 4 profilers. We actually bought 20 sharpeners from a store that from a big store in the States that replaced all their sharpeners. They're all automated. Everything's automated.
Okay.
So we now do all the profiling, all the sharpening, laser engraving, so customizing blades with name, numbers, logos. We do all of that in house, so you can order your blades and get everything done, and they show up to your doorstep, and you can literally go to practice or game that day with the blades done.
And is it made in Canada, in GTA?
So yes, partially. It was for the first 4 or 5 years. Again, before we really took off,
Mm-hmm.
we were doing absolutely everything in Ontario,
Okay.
Cambridge, Waterloo area there. So we had different manufacturers for each step of the process.
Okay.
So two times a week, my partner would drive out. He'd pick up a box of steel. He'd bring it to the next guy. He'd pick up that box, bring it, and do that. We couldn't find somebody turnkey, which is doing all the steps together.
Yeah.
It was really, really expensive. So this was a affordable way we could do it while maintaining the quality and the quality control and doing it locally. So the process took about 2 weeks to from start to finish to make a set of steel. And it was expensive. It was still expensive, even though, but doable. Like we were still making some money that was all reinvested into the business.
Yeah.
When we started taking off and started getting, record sales every month, we outgrew the capacity of these factories. So we had to go overseas, which was really beneficial for our business. So the work went into finding really, really quality factories. There's all sorts. There's a misconception that, if you go overseas, the quality drops, and that's not true. They make a lot of crap for sure, but you can also find really, really good most of the most expensive products you have in your home are made there, right? Think about phones. It's $1,000 phone.
Yeah.
Why? The software is good, of course, but it's quality. You drop it, it doesn't break instantly. They make really all the cars and stuff are made like they're really good quality stuff. So that was our goal. Going overseas wasn't let's save some money. It's no, we need to make more, and we need to have it consistent and stuff. So we work with one really, really good factory. They found us. They actually found us on Facebook. They sent us a message
On Facebook.
and we're like, yeah, they're like, oh, you're a blade company. We make blades. And we said, okay, send us some samples. They sent us a sample. Every other blade on the market, everybody was using this factory.
Okay. Cool.
So we're like, okay, they know what they're doing. And so, and that was, that was back in 2017, 2018, something like that. So that really allowed us to do proper production forecasting, get things going. And now we always have a production run. So even if we run out of stock for something, it's already pretty much done and it's already on its way here. So we've been able to kind of manage our growth in that way, which has been really, really important. And then quality wise and stuff, it's actually even better than when we started.
And in terms, so you're saying like you manage your growth. So how is the team on that side? Because you have, if you want to manage more work, you have probably a bigger workforce. So how many of you are working now for Bladetech?
Yeah. So right until that time, so 2020, 2021, basically the fall of 2021, we hired our first employee. It was up until then, it was me and Jeff doing everything. I was doing everything in terms of the marketing, e-commerce, all that stuff, which I still do much of that stuff today. I need to hire more people for that. And he was doing everything with the blades, all the production, all of the fulfillment, everything. Yeah. So we had to hire people to do the fulfillment because there were just too many orders. We had to kick people out of his basement. So he was running it in one room in his house with all the blades and some of the machines. And then he had tenants in his basement. We kicked them out. So we moved into the basement, built a shop in his basement. And literally this week, I just told you we are moving into our first like physical external shop, like with a storefront for the first time. And that's happening right now. Nice. So it took many, many years. It was something we put off for a while because I never wanted to have a storefront. It's a whole other business. Yeah. But so right now we have 3 full-time people just doing stuff with the blades, fulfillment, sharpening, profiling. We have so many orders. We do 30 to 50 profiles and sharpens every single day, plus a bunch of other packages, plus sticks we have to ship out. Yeah. And I have a full-time person doing marketing. So creating content, dealing with all of our social media, that kind of stuff. I probably need another person to do just customer service,
Yeah.
which I haven't hired yet. I'm still doing all of that stuff. So there's a lot on my plate still on the day to day, but we actually ran out of space. I don't have anywhere to put people. So that's why we need to move. Once we move into the shop, we're going to expand the team further. And it's exciting. It's exciting, but there's like, the bigger the business goes, there's way more stuff to do. And so I've never worked more. It's funny. This is the first time in my basically adult life I've only had one job, because I've always had something and then something else, right? There's always a side project, always something.
Yeah.
But I've never worked more than I do right now. So again, good. These are not complaints. These are all great problems to have. It's what we signed up for. So, but it's a lot to weigh on your mind all the time. Of there's always something to do, right? You wake up in the middle of the night, you remember something, you write it down. You know that. So
Yeah. That's why it's very important to have like a nice workflow, working with Google Calendar, notes, and that's why I figured too. Like the moment I thought about I should take some notes and just like put my brain on a piece of paper or even my phone.
Yeah.
The moment I did that, I was like, okay, now I can enjoy life a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm notoriously bad at writing notes or writing lists. I don't like doing it because I like to also challenge my brain to remember things. It's like a skill. It's a practice, right? But sometimes I need to. Obviously, no one's perfect, and you forget things.
Yeah,
so
it could be also like long-term ideas or like not like actual like in the moment stuff. Okay, cool. Sure. So we were talking about like marketing and creating content. Let's talk maybe about like the video aspect of it. What kind of role do you see video like has, and how is it increasing? What's your vision for the future? Where do you want to go? Maybe you want to make some live on YouTube.
Yeah, video is a huge part of what we do. It's almost, I would argue, it's almost everything in terms of what we do in terms of sharing content out in the world. Even when I have stills and things like that, I always want it edited to be like moving and to be it's the way the world works now. Our attention spans have dropped to like, I don't know, less than 5 seconds. And your engagement, the currency now is attention. And everyone is fighting for the same currency. It doesn't matter what business you are, who you are, what influencer you are. You are fighting for people's attention. That's it. And you need the attention in order to get people to your website to buy stuff. And that's kind of the core of the business. It doesn't sound exciting, or it doesn't sound sounds like we're trying to manipulate people or something, but that's the way it is. That's the way the business is. Like, we're trying to find, obviously, our target customer, right? We want to find hockey players.
Exactly.
I don't want my video showing up to everybody, but that's so video is like, it's essential to everything. Like the number one thing, I just hired a person. He actually just started a week and a half ago. So he's into his second week right now. And I'm just throwing stuff at him. I'm like, here, edit this. Here's some stuff. I was at an event. I shot some things. I took an interview with this guy, cut it all together and make it less than 30 seconds. So that kind of stuff, like that's the day-to-day, and that's it. So it's really big. Some of our biggest traction with our products is somebody who's actually in the UK who does a lot of product reviews. And he produces really, really high quality video. And when I talk to customers, I'm like, how did you, it's a first order. Like on our customer side, when somebody places a first order, we actually call them to verify like their information, make sure their mailing address is correct. And then when we're talking to them, we're like, hey, it's your first order. How'd you find out about us? And they're like, oh, I watched this YouTube video and they were talking about profiling, and then they were talking about your blades. So I figured I'd give it a shot. So there's definitely the day-to-day, the short form video, the long form video where people like, okay, I see something that's interesting. Let's go, let's dive in. And this profiling video is, I think, 15 or 16 minutes that he did. So it's a really interesting topic for people in the high-end hockey world, and they want to watch that kind of stuff. So we can definitely produce more. We have a lot of like help videos. This is how you sharpen your blades. This is how you install your blades. So the video is important for that. We actually have to redo a lot of those. And to me, it's if you're not producing video in 2-second clips, 5-second clips, 30-second clips, a minute and a half plus all these different versions, you're not doing the job. So that's almost everything. Like the only place I have still videos is like product shots on our website.
Yeah, so it does represent like a lot. And so like in the industry of like hockey, what breaks your heart the most?
Ooh, that's a great question. I like that question. At the core of it is how inaccessible it is.
Okay.
It is ridiculously expensive. There are people, there are kids that really want to play and just can't. There's all these groups about hockey, equality and diversity and stuff. The only barrier for hockey is money. That's it. You have to have money to play. It has the most equipment out of any sport by far. Ice time is really expensive. Everything's really expensive. You're in a hotbed of hockey, and so am I here in Toronto. Ice time and these clubs that you need to sign up for and the registration fees and stuff are thousands of dollars, and that's independent of all the equipment that you have to buy. You have to spend at least $1,000 to get some decent equipment for any kid, and plus he grows every year, so he or she grows every year, so you can only use it for one season.
Oh yeah,
and it's a repeat buy and stuff like that. And we're aftermarket steel, so we're an additional cost to the skate because you have to buy. There's no skates that come with Bladetech already installed. We're working on that. We would love that to happen, but we have to work with the companies that make skates to do that. And honestly, they don't work. That's another thing that breaks my heart is how terribly all the companies work together or refuse to work together. Yeah. On top of that, they actually all sue each other. So there's a huge waste of resources in the industry that's so small and could really benefit from great collaboration. So yeah. That's part of the reason contributing to the high costs of equipment and things like that. Like, why is a stick getting more expensive every year? It's the same material. Like, your material price doesn't go up 30%. Why does your price? So these types of things, it all kind of contributes to, and it is the big companies that are in control of this. And to me, they're not doing a great job of innovating and creating great products at a great price. Like, innovation, as innovation goes, things become smaller and cheaper and better, right? That's kind of the definition. And they're not doing that. It's like the same stuff for more money, and you're starting to disqualify people that could maybe afford to play before and they can't. And if somebody's like on the cusp, then the next year they definitely can't play. So that's what's frustrating. And we know some great small companies that are doing stuff with reused equipment and refurbishing equipment.
No, for sure.
I can buy a pro stick for like $90 because it was broken and refurbished, and there's stuff for all that. But in general, that's the biggest issue with this industry is it's really exclusive to people with money. That's it.
Yeah, and you don't think that's something that is going to change in the future because like it's just it's stuck.
I don't see how, unless because, and it's funny, there's like people are spending so much and then yet all these companies are not. I don't think they're that profitable. So there's a lot of inefficiency. It's the way a lot of the companies operate. I do not like at all from a business person. Like, I've done it. I've been in tech companies. I've been in clothing distribution. I've been in manufacturing. There's so many inefficiencies here in this industry, and it costs people money.
If you have to give an advice with all your knowledge and the fact that you did teach students when you were working at the university, if you have to give some advices to some young folks that want to build a business in hockey, I know that we had someone in the podcast before that started also like more like a stick, like oriented towards stick to make it more affordable. But if you have like some advices to some people, what would you recommend them?
If they want to get into the hockey, start a hockey business?
Yeah.
Don't get into hockey. No, no, it like any industry, it has its pros and cons for sure. There are some really amazing people you get to work with, really amazing stories. Like, we're doing a Make-A-Wish for this kid with because cystic fibrosis, and
Okay.
we're going to do a Make-A-Wish with Austin Matthews. So we got really cool opportunities, really cool experiences. But it is a really tough, challenging business. But for us, I would give advice to anyone that wants to start a business is just start, just do. You get rewarded and you learn for doing, not for your idea. Because a lot of people, if they don't have that entrepreneur kind of mentality or spirit or experience, I had a really unique upbringing where I had a benefit of, like, my dad did 2 small businesses that were both very successful and both completely different. But there are some commonalities I learned, and one of them, and anyone will tell you this that teaches entrepreneurship, is you have to do first. Like, you come up with an idea, come up with the basic, and then do it, and then try it, because you're not going to come up with the answers from thinking about it. You're going to come up with the answers of what the market tells you, and you pivot and you do that stuff. And my partner did that with his invention. He invented it, but then he brought it out to the world, and that's how he met me, and that's how we looked at some other things, and that's how we reiterated the product. So it's the same thing. Like, sticks was the same. We launched them in October. We're like, we don't know anything about sticks. We want to make a cool new stick. We want to actually try to find something that is innovative, but we also don't know anything about stick market. So let's make some sticks and see what that looks like. And well, we have a much better picture of what's going on, and we can now see what's missing and hopefully innovate something that is, again, valuable for players. So that's the number one piece, is like, you can't afford to not be moving. Like, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards by default, because everyone else is moving forward.
Exactly. And it's going fast.
Yes. Yeah. Speed is not, as long as you're moving forward, the speed is not so important.
No, for sure. It's better to move forward than going backward all things. Yeah. Nice. It's going back to cystic fibrosis. Like, it's a good, like, it's one of a good subject for me, because we just did like a 9-episode docuseries on stand paddleboarder that did the crossing for cystic fibrosis.
Wow.
It's a crossing between Bimini Island and West Palm Beach, North Miami, and
Wow.
80 miles, and you have like so many people competing and raising money for cystic fibrosis. And
Cool.
oh yeah, I send you the link if you want to watch.
Yeah. No, I should send you the link to this one. It's Liam's Mission, and this guy, this kid who was diagnosed 3 weeks. He was 3 weeks old, and he's had it, and he's, I don't know, 7 or 8 now. But he did things. He was at Sick Kids, and he did things like he put Halloween baskets together for all the kids and delivered them. Like, this kid's amazing, and his mom, obviously, amazing. Like, what he took with his, his disease or what he has, but still was trying to spread love and joy to kids that he was in the hospital with. These were his peers. So a really great story. And actually, we've been raising money. If you go to our website, when you buy blades, it asks if you want to add $10 to Liam's Mission. We'll engrave Liam's Mission on your steel, and the $10 goes directly to the research for that. So
nice. Well, send me all the link, and I put that down in the description so people can click on it. And and on Spotify and YouTube, wherever you're watching it or listening to it. So now it's a big question. I think it's a mix of like business, but also innovation. Where do you see Bladetech in the next 5 years in terms of like the business, but also innovation? Because you said like every 5 years we have big innovations, which is right. About 5 to 10 years we have like a big innovation, and not just dates. So where do you see that going, without revealing your secret, because you might have some ideas? But,
honestly, it's really interesting, the secret part, because everyone's like, whenever inventing something, especially tech and stuff too, right? They're like, well, I can't tell you, or if it's on an NDA. It's like, honestly, if it's a good idea, it's a good idea, and it's all about the execution. If I have an idea and you take it and you go run and you execute it really well, good for you. Honestly, it's you're a better man than me. Like, that's how I look at it. So I said, hey, if we're gonna make skates in 5 years, I would tell you what kind of skate we're gonna make, and it'd be like, but to go and do it is really challenging. That's where the challenge is, not with the idea. So it is a good question. I don't exactly have an answer. Our focus has always been on growth. We are looking, again, I guess I do have some secrets without revealing too much. We are looking at some other smaller peer companies to either merge or acquire. It's one way to grow.
Okay.
And there are people doing some really interesting things that we have literally just started looking into. And so that could kind of accelerate and essentially double our business size overnight if we kind of execute some of these things, some of these mergers. So that's kind of how you compete in this industry. Like we can't go head to head with CCM or Bauer or any of these guys because you can't. So you have to be different and you have to be unique, and you have to, again, always find ways to add value to people. So that's going on. What innovation is going to happen in hockey in terms of equipment and things like
innovation can be on the blade, on the tech, but innovation can also on the communication aspect. It could be in so many ways.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't know what's going to happen next is my short answer. But there's a lot of good people in the industry that are trying to do good stuff, and there's always new players. Like, no one knew that we were going to be. There was a couple blade companies that existed when we started. Through our time, there's been 6 or 7 blade companies that have just made steel. And if you told me, 10 years ago that there'd be 7 blade companies, there's no way, because there was no way to change your blades quickly. And now when the quick release happened, it's spread all these companies. So there'll be something that happens that will spread another or cause another niche of companies to come through. And we're, if we're the ones that innovate that or invent that, it's great. If not, we're looking, there are 2 things that we're doing in the very short term. We're about to launch literally next week, probably both of them are adjacent companies or adjacent brands. So Bladetech figure skates are here. It'll be launched next week. So that's the figure skate steel, just the steel, and ringette sticks. So 2 smaller sports, but things that were adjacent to what we're doing already. Like we're already making blades, so making figure blades makes sense. We're already making sticks, ringette sticks totally makes sense. So they're kind of like a couple of different new brands, couple like Bladetech figure and Bladetech ringette. They're gonna be here. So the Bladetech name is gonna be the same, the logo is gonna be the same, and just the wording instead of just Bladetech Hockey. So I think that's where we're interested. We've tossed around the idea of baseball bats. Again, things that they're all along the lines of performance, adding performance to whatever sport. So baseball bat, there's a lot of technology in the materials and how it's made and how it's crafted and how it's used. So that's something of like, hey, can we add like a little like spring effect into the bat to cause the ball to go further? That's be interesting to look at. But we have to really get our businesses day to day running before we can actually dive into the. I don't have an R&D department's one person. And
for sure. That's
and he's busy.
My comment I was talking to myself, being like, but it's only one guy who like innovation. So how are we so many different ideas?
He hasn't had a month to figure out something since he's been in school. So that's to buy him a month of free time to like sit down with a problem and solve it. I don't know when that's going to happen. So our innovation is going to be somewhat limited until then, but there's always things coming across. Like as you become bigger and you network more, you come across these opportunities. Like I wouldn't have told you even 6 months ago that we'd buy a company, but it was a conversation that happened a month ago out of nothing. And this guy's like, "Oh, are you guys interested? Because I'm trying to sell." And we're like, "Oh, let's have a look." Let's see. So it's really interesting stuff. Like the more you do, the more interesting stuff comes across your plate. So it's fun.
Nice. Okay. Well, I think we covered pretty much everything. Cool. Maybe one last question, because you said that it's hard to pay him 1 month of holiday. How do you manage your holidays? Are you taking some holidays every year?
That is a excellent question, and the answer is terrible, because it's like not really. I went away for 1 week in February because in the middle of winter I have to get out of here for sure. I lose my mind if I don't. Jeff is a machine. He just works. He takes, the odd long weekend to go up, visit his family up in North Bay, and but no, he doesn't take vacation, and I need to force him more. So
Yeah.
it's this year has been crazy for us. We've had great growth. We've expanded our team, and we're moving. So there's just been so much this year, particularly. So we will, as we settle down. It's August right now, so this is right crunch time for us. Right before the start of the season, we are getting slammed with orders. But as we get into September, October, we'll definitely work on getting away. So it's something we have to do better for sure, because we can't kind of, what's the term, burn the candle at both ends and get burnt out. It's a real thing. It's happened to me, and it's not fun. So but we enjoy what we do, and it oftentimes does not feel like work, even though there's a lot of little things like you have to do, answering emails and these types of things. But a lot of what we do, we keep good perspective of like, look, this is hockey. It's fun. It's equipment. Like, we screw up an order, no one's going to die. You know what I mean? The stakes are not that high. So we keep that perspective, and we try not to take it so seriously.
Yeah. It's also a good piece of advice that you didn't mention, is like, try to think about taking some time off. It's hard. It's hard to take some time off, but it's good. But in order to do that, you have to think about your processes and how you can handle stuff or give stuff to someone else to do it. And so
building systems, right? It's not, things aren't rely on people, things are rely on systems, so you can teach people the systems.
Exactly.
And that's something it is a very immediate focus of ours right now, is to do that.
Do you know Dan Martel?
No.
Dan Martel is a Canadian. Anyways, it's out of the way, but I send you like a link to his YouTube channel. He's like a Canadian. He's been to jail when he was younger. Now he has like 5-star companies, and he's a business mentor, and he's all about systems and all that stuff. So it could be really interesting for you too.
Yeah, there's a few guys like that. I heard at a presentation this week, Dan Sullivan, another guy who does that. He basically says, build systems and hand them off, like let go of the stuff, hand them off to other people. And in fact, there's this conception that, if you hire someone, they're not going to do it as well as you. Is like, well, no, if that's all they focus on, they should actually probably be able to do it better than you.
Yeah, maybe differently. That's the only thing.
Yes.
Which is good. Like we are working with remote editors, and I give like some products just to test out, and I'm like, oh, this is different. I wouldn't have used that pace or that music or this or this or that, but it's good.
But it's good. Yeah.
Good. So that's what matters. If the customer is happy, if it serves the story, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
No,
okay,
exactly.
perfect. Well, thank you for
That's great.
Thank you for all your answers and everything. That was wonderful. I hope it's gonna help a bunch of people listening and viewing that video on YouTube. Feel free to share that to other people.
Yes, for sure.
In the hockey industry, but also in other industries, because I think that every industry is the same. You just need to like turn some switch on and off, and it's pretty much the same. So feel free to share that. Do you have like a few words that you want to share to end that episode, Anthony?
Yeah, I think, well, I mean, I can say a lot of things, but that's no, I think it's really, look, we're really proud of what we built. We're really happy that we have a really great following, great loyal support. So if anyone's watching, I want to thank them. Realistically, people make the business. If people didn't take a chance on us from back in the day, I remember the equipment manager of the Washington Capitals and the New York Islanders, these two teams, they were the first customers we had. Not first NHL customers, they were the first customers we had ever. Yeah. And they were, picked up the phone when we called and we said, hey, you're two guys you don't know, a brand you don't know, product you don't know. They were like, yeah, you know what? We'll give it a shot. So that's all it takes to get the ball rolling. So we really appreciate, I talked to a customer that we've had for 8 years yesterday, and he's like, and I said, I have to thank you because Like, he was thanking us. He goes, my son loves your stuff. He won't use anything else. I said, no, I got to thank you, because you were one of the first people to try it. And it really takes that. So don't worry about the speed of the growth of your business. It'll happen when it happens, but just keep moving forward, and you never know.
Nice. Well, thank you very much again. And for the one listening and watching, you have all the links below to Bladetech website, but also to the cystic fibrosis. If you want to support cystic fibrosis, you have some link. You can give $10 also. Yeah, I hope to see you soon, Anthony. I hope you like the videos and like the podcast episode. And I wish you have a good day.
Thank you, Maxime. You as well. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.